The rooster had not even crowed when Jibola's mother, Mama Ngozi, woke up with a start. Her heart was racing, not from the heat that already clung to the small Lagos apartment, but from the dream that had shaken her. In her dream, she had seen a bus, a white NYSC bus, overturned on a lonely road. Shadows moved around it, whispering things she couldn't understand. Then she saw her son's face, pale and lifeless, staring back at her. She sat up in bed, sweat beading on her forehead. "God forbid," she whispered, clutching her chest. Next to her, Baba Jide, Jibola's father, stirred. "Woman, what is it?" "I had a bad dream," she said, her voice trembling. "About Jibola the journey." Baba Jide sat up, his face hardening. He was a man of few words, but when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of years. "That boy has refused to listen. Today, he will hear me." Jibola hummed as he packed his bags, his phone blasting the latest Afrobeats hit. He was dressed sharply, crisp white, NYSC khaki, polished boots, his call-up letter tucked safely in his pocket. He was ready. "Jibola," his mother's voice cut through the music. He turned, grinning. "Mama, good morning. Look at me, your copper soldier ready for service." But Mama Ngozi wasn't smiling. Her eyes were red. "My son, sit down. We need to talk." Jibola's smile faded. "Mama, what's wrong?" She grabbed his hands. "I had a dream last night. A bad one. The road you're traveling, it's dangerous." Jibola laughed. "Ah, Mama. Dreams are just dreams. I'll be fine." "No," she snapped, gripping him tighter. This was a warning. "You must pray before you go. The road is not your friend." Baba Jide stepped into the room, his presence filling the space. "Jibola," he said, his voice deep. "Your mother is not speaking for herself. The spirits of the road are restless. You must cover yourself before you travel." Jibola sighed, running a hand over his short curls. "Baba, please. I'm a grown man. I don't believe in all these." "Do not finish that sentence." Baba Jide's voice boomed, making the walls shake. Jibola froze. His father rarely raised his voice. "You think because you have a university degree, you know everything?" Baba Jide stepped closer, his eyes burning. "I have traveled that road before. I have seen things that would make your blood run cold. And you stand here, mocking the wisdom of your elders?" Jibola swallowed. "Baba, I didn't mean..." "Kneel." Jibola hesitated, then slowly knelt. Baba Jide placed a rough hand on his head. "Almighty God, cover my son. Let no evil touch him. Let no disaster follow him. Bring him back to us alive." Mama Ngozi wept quietly, nodding along. But when the prayer ended, Jibola stood up, brushing off his knees. He kissed his mother's cheek and grabbed his bags. "I'll be fine," he said again, this time with a hint of irritation. As he walked out the door, his mother called after him, "Jibola, at least pray in your heart." But Jibola didn't look back. Outside, the morning air was thick with humidity. Jibola flagged down a bikeman to take him to the NYSC camp where the buses waited. As the bike zoomed through Lagos traffic, a sudden gust of wind blew dust into Jibola's eyes. He blinked, rubbing them, and when he opened them again, he saw an old woman standing in the middle of the road. She was dressed in tattered clothes, her gray hair wild, her eyes milky white. She stared right at him. The bikeman swerved to avoid her, but when Jibola turned to look back, she was gone. His heart skipped a beat. "Oga, you see that woman?" he asked the bikeman. The bikeman frowned. "Which woman?" Jibola didn't answer. A cold feeling settled in his stomach, but he shook it off. "Nah, just my mind playing tricks." He didn't know it then, but the road had already begun to call for him. The NYSC camp buzzed with chaotic energy as hundreds of corpers loaded their bags onto the waiting buses. Some hugged tearful family members, others laughed and snapped selfies, their voices rising above the honking of impatient drivers. Jibola adjusted his khaki cap and wiped sweat from his brow, scanning the scene. "Jibola, over here!" He turned to see his childhood friend Sei waving excitedly from beside bus 12. Sei's grin was infectious, his NYSC uniform already wrinkled from the Lagos heat. "You ready for this adventure?" Sei clapped him on the back. Jibola smirked. "Born ready. Northern girls, here we come." Sei laughed, but then his face grew serious. "Seriously though, you prayed before leaving, right?" "My mama nearly tied me down with prayer points this morning." Jibola rolled his eyes. "Not you too?" "My parents gave me the same lecture." A sharp whistle cut through the noise. "All corpers for Kano State, board now!" Bus 12 loomed before them, A rickety white coaster with peeling paint and tires that looked too worn for a long journey. The driver, Musa, leaned against the door, chewing a stick of gum like it had personally offended him. His bloodshot eyes scanned the corpers with disinterest. "This guy looks like he hasn't slept in days," Sei whispered. Jibola shrugged. "As long as he can drive." But as he stepped onto the bus, a sudden chill ran down his spine. The air inside was unnaturally cold, despite the sweltering heat outside. A few corpers already seated glanced at him strangely, their chatter dying down for just a second before resuming. Weird, Jibola thought, shaking it off. He chose a window seat near the back. Sei plopped down beside him, but not before making the sign of the cross. "Just in case," Sei muttered. The bus was nearly full when she boarded. A girl, pale-skinned with long braids, wearing an NYSC uniform too crisp for someone who had been in camp. She moved silently, her sandals barely making a sound as she walked down the aisle. Jibola watched as she took the seat directly across from him. Then she turned her head, slowly, and looked right at him. Her eyes were dark. Too dark, like pits with no bottom. Jibola's breath caught. "You see that girl?" he whispered to Sei. Sei frowned. "Which girl?" Jibola jerked his chin toward her. The seat was empty. "What the?" He whipped his head around. The girl was now sitting at the very front, her back to them. Had he imagined it? Musa revved the engine, and the bus lurched forward. Within minutes, Musa was pushing the bus to dangerous speeds, swerving around slower vehicles with reckless abandon. The corpers whooped at first, treating it like a roller coaster, but soon, nervous murmurs spread. "Please, slow down!" a girl shouted from the front. Musa just smirked. "Don't be afraid! Relax!" Jibola gripped his seat as they hit a pothole, the bus lifting slightly off the ground. Sei cursed beside him. "This guy is mad!" Outside, the scenery blurred, Lagos fading into open road, the sun now high and merciless. The air conditioning sputtered, then died, leaving the bus stifling. Then, a whisper. "You didn't pray." Jibola froze. That voice, right beside his ear. He turned. The pale girl was back in the seat across from him, staring. "You didn't listen," she said, her mouth not moving. Jibola's heart hammered. "Sei!" A screech of tires. A scream. The bus swerved violently. The bus was moving too fast. Too fast! Jibola held tight to his seat. His friend Sei sat next to him, face white with fear.
Wow, this story is getting intense, right? If you're enjoying it, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. We bring you the most thrilling, emotional, and unforgettable African stories every week. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button now and stay tuned for more.
"This driver is crazy!" Sei shouted. Suddenly, a loud explosion. The back tire had burst. The bus swerved left, then right. The driver, Musa, fought with the steering wheel, but it was no use. The bus was out of control. People screamed. "Jesus! Jesus!" Jibola closed his eyes just as the bus flipped over. Once, twice. Glass broke, metal twisted, bodies flew. Then everything went black. When Jibola opened his eyes, he was in pain. His arm hurt. His head bled. The bus was destroyed. Smoke rose from the wreck. He looked around. Bodies everywhere. Some people were dead. Others groaned in pain. His friend Sei was not moving. His neck was bent the wrong way. Jibola felt sick. He turned and vomited. Then he saw her. The pale girl from the bus. She stood in the middle of the wreck, but she had no scratches. No blood. She looked right at Jibola. "I warned you," she said softly. Jibola was too scared to speak. Behind the girl, dark figures moved in the trees. Tall, thin, eyes glowing yellow. They were coming closer. Jibola tried to move back, but his body hurt too much. The girl smiled, a scary, unnatural smile. "You didn't pray," she whispered. "Now they have come for the others." Jibola's heart pounded. "Please," he begged. Just then, sirens, ambulances and police were coming. The girl's smile disappeared. "Next time, pray," she said. Then she vanished. The dark figures melted back into the trees. Medics rushed to the crash. A police officer helped Jibola up. "You are lucky to be alive," the officer said. But Jibola didn't feel lucky. He looked at the bodies. At Sei. His parents had warned him, "Pray before you travel." But he didn't listen. And now his friend was dead. Tears filled his eyes. This was his fault. Sirens screamed as the ambulance raced down the dark road. Jibola lay on a stretcher, his body wrapped in bandages. The pain in his arm was so bad he wanted to cry, but he couldn't. His heart hurt worse. "Sei, is he?" Jibola whispered to the nurse. The nurse looked away. That was answer enough. Through the ambulance window, Jibola saw something move in the trees, a pale face watching him. The girl from the bus. He gasped. "Did you see that?" But when the nurse looked, there was nothing there. The hospital was old and smelled like sickness. The electricity kept flickering. Shadows stretched long across the dirty walls. Jibola shared a room with 2 other survivors from the crash. That first night, strange things happened. Jibola woke up to someone whispering his name, but everyone was asleep. On the second night, Amina finally spoke. "I saw her too. The ghost girl," she whispered. "She was standing at the foot of my bed last night." Tunde laughed nervously. "Ghosts aren't real. We're just stressed from the accident." Then the heart monitor started beeping wildly by itself. The lights went out. From the darkness came a child's giggle. When the lights came back on, something was written in blood on the wall: "You should have prayed." Jibola knew what he had to do. Even though his arm was broken, he climbed out of bed and knelt on the cold floor. "God, I'm sorry I didn't listen," he prayed, with tears in his eyes. "Please protect us. Forgive me." As he prayed, the room grew warm again. The writing on the wall faded. For the first time since the crash, Jibola felt safe. When doctors came in the morning, they looked worried. "The other crash survivors. 3 more died in the night," one doctor said. "You 3 are the only ones left." Jibola, Amina, and Tunde looked at each other with wide eyes. They knew the truth. This wasn't over yet. The ghost girl wasn't done with them. 3 days had passed since the crash. Jibola, Amina, and Tunde were the only survivors left. That night, as the hospital slept, the ghost girl appeared again, but this time, she spoke clearly. "You want to know why I'm here?" she whispered. 5 years ago, I was on that same bus. Just like you, I ignored the warnings. The crash killed everyone, including me." Jibola's blood turned cold. "What do you want from us?" The girl's eyes glowed red. "The road demands balance. 3 survived this time, so 3 must have to pay." The survivors knew what they had to do. Before sunrise. At exactly 12 a.m., they returned to where the bus had crashed. The air smelled like burned metal. Shadows moved between the trees. The ghost girl stood waiting, surrounded by the shadow figures, the spirits of all who had died on that road. "Last chance," she said. "Run, or join us forever." The 3 survivors joined hands and did what they should have done from the beginning. They prayed like their lives depended on it. As they shouted their prayers, the holy water bubbled in its bottle. The prayer beads glowed hot. The ghost girl screamed as light exploded around them. When dawn came, the spirits were gone. Only 3 things remained. The wrecked bus, now just metal, no longer cursed. A single prayer bead lying in the dirt. Peace at last. 1 year later, Jibola now works at his father's church, warning young travelers to always pray before journeys. Amina became a nurse, helping accident victims. Tunde? He drives a bus now, the slowest, safest driver in Nigeria. And at that lonely stretch of road, no more crashes. No more ghosts. Just the wind whispering one important lesson. Prayer saves lives. Did you like the ending? What lesson did you learn from this story? Let us know in the comments. Like this video if it gave you chills. Subscribe for more African horror stories. Share with someone who needs to hear this warning. Stay safe. And always pray before you travel.